Hello, everybody. This is Rick Will, and today I wanted to talk about Avatar The Last Airbender. Avatar The Last Airbender used to be my favorite cartoon of all time. Over the years, I've watched more and more shows, and my tastes have changed a little, and while I still think overall The Last Airbender is a good show, it's nowhere near the top for me. In this video, I want to talk about the things I still like about the series and things I've come to dislike about the series. This won't really be anything close to a formal review, so instead I just want to talk about what I think about Avatar The Last Airbender. For a quick summary, Avatar The Last Airbender is a Nickelodeon cartoon about a young boy named Aang, a member of a race of people called Airbenders, people with the ability to control or bend the air around them. Aang was informed from a young age that he was the Avatar, a medium between the spirit world and human world who was tasked with keeping peace and balance in the world. The Avatar reincarnates in a cycle of air, water, earth, and fire in that order, and is the only person in the world with the ability to bend all four. Feeling burdened with the responsibility thrust on him, and feeling isolated from his friends and mentor, Aang runs away from home, getting caught in a storm and almost drowning before encasing himself in an iceberg near the southern water tribe and ending up stuck there for 100 years. During Aang's absence, the Fire Nation harnessed the power of a comet passing by the Earth that amplifies their power, and decided to attack and wipe out the air nomads to prevent the Avatar from growing powerful enough to stop them, as they prepare for a complete totalitarian takeover of the world. Realizing they missed their target since no one started glowing and attacking them with earth, water, fire, and so on and so forth, as well as air, the Fire Nation spends the next 100 years taking over the world and preparing to use the comet that will pass by the earth once again to put an end to the war once and for all. Aang is accidentally freed from his iceberg by a young waterbender named Katara and her non-bender brother Sokka, while they were out fishing and arguing, like all siblings do. Aang learns that the Fire Nation has all but won the war and he needs to master water, earth, and fire and defeat the new Fire Lord in a few months before the end of the summer, or Fire Lord Ozai will use Sozin's comet to end the war for good. Right off the bat, that's an amazing premise. It takes like 7 episodes to grasp the full situation, but the series is set on a doomsday clock. Aang and his friends have to journey around the entire world looking for suitable masters and avoiding Fire Nation troops, while on a mission to save the world from a tyrannical regime of super Nazis. Of course, younger me would eat that up. I craved adventures as a kid, and Avatar hit every note of my kid power fantasy trip. The characters for the most part are all well-written, deeply flawed characters who you see mature and grow over the course of the series. Aang's coming-of-age story from a kid who ran away from responsibility to a fully-fledged Avatar. To Sokka, from a sexist kid with an inferiority complex from being a non-bender and being left behind by his father to look after the tribe while he fought in the war, to a fully-fledged warrior who learns what it means to be a man. You get to see the characters at their worst and at their best. See the fighting among the group and how they grow into a stronger team because of it. You see the emotional depth of the series the most through the characters just talking to each other, talking about what this war and this world out of balance has done to these kids and how the bonds they've grown with each other have just helped them heal through it. I'd even say I appreciate these little moments even more now than I did back when I first watched the show as a kid, and I've watched the show 6 times. The choreography is top-notch and is up there with the likes of TMNT 2012 for me. The show does a really good job of making each element look really cool while also giving each their own drawbacks. I was also a really big fan of airbending, but I could understand why some people would prefer the other elements. And the show makes a big emphasis on how all the elements are equal and can even learn a thing or two from the philosophies of the others. With all those good things out of the way, it's time for me to talk about the things I dislike about the show. Starting with a few miscellaneous gripes I have before getting into the meaty portions. First, the ending to the episode, The Guru. The Guru is one of the best episodes of Avatar and one that always had a special place in my heart. But the more I rewatch it, the more the ending hurts an otherwise strong episode. To unlock the final chakra and master the Avatar state, Aang has to sever his attachment to his worldly desires, including his love for Katara. Aang is obviously hesitant to do so, even remarking that a few chakras ago his love for Katara was a good thing. This is where the Guru starts to lose his luster as a character. From the moment we met him back in Appa's Lost Days, he always had something insightful to say and was generally very entertaining to listen to. Here he loses all of that charm and just becomes a NPC repeating the same thing instead of offering Aang guidance and assuring him that learning to let her go doesn't mean he has to never care about her again. But that's not the main part I have a problem with. The problem is once Aang does decide to unlock the chakra, and he sees a vision of Katara captured and runs off to save her, he locks the final chakra in the process, and the Guru tells him, he yells out to him, that locking the final chakra will prevent him from entering the Avatar state at all. Now keep in mind, Aang didn't even know what chakra was before this episode. All of his chakra were locked and he could still enter the Avatar state, he just couldn't master it and go into it at will. It makes no sense why relocking the 7th chakra would lock him out of it entirely. It's cheap drama and stakes just for the sake of plot. And next we have Roku's death. Roku lives on an island in the Fire Nation in his final years after becoming estranged from his friend Fire Lord Sozin, after they had a falling out over Sozin trying to make colonies in the Earth Kingdom. One night Roku is awoken from the volcano on the island he lives on erupting. The volcano is so powerful it would destroy the entire island and everyone on it. Everyone else evacuates while Roku tries to stop the volcano by himself. The trembling from the volcano is so powerful even Sozin could feel it hundreds of miles away. Sozin shows up to help, but Roku ingests toxins from the volcano and can't keep fighting. Sozin chooses to leave Roku to die so he can rule the Fire Nation and the world the way he wants without Roku interfering. Roku's dragon Fang chooses to stay and die with Roku instead of leaving. Now, this whole thing is a mess. I'm not even mad about them choosing to live on an island with 2 volcanoes, or Sozin being able to fly hundreds of miles in presumably a few hours at most. But Roku choosing to try to stop the volcano even after everyone evacuated makes no sense. He inhaled toxins and didn't bother trying to airbend them out either. Fang choosing to die with Roku instead of grabbing him and escaping is just all too much bad at once that I had to talk about this moment. I would have preferred Sozin giving the killing blow over what we got. Again, just one of those moments where the plot had to be forced along and they couldn't think of a better way for Roku to die. And finally, for the miscellaneous gripes, Zuko and Katara's field trip in the Southern Raiders. The Southern Raiders is an otherwise great episode, but Zuko's role in the episode doesn't work. The whole point of the episode was for Zuko to find a way for Katara to forgive him for betraying them in Ba Sing Se. This episode falls flat in that regard because he does nothing on his field trip to earn that forgiveness and prove he's changed. In the episode since joining the group, he saved them from a sneak attack from Combustion Man, lost his anger and hate, which filled his firebending, and when he went on a solo trip with Aang and learned from the original firebenders and found a new source of firebending in helping Aang bring balance to the world. He infiltrated the worst prison in the Fire Nation with Sokka and officially betrayed his girlfriend to get Katara and Sokka's dad back. And even in this very episode, stayed behind to fight Azula while everyone else escaped, proving he's completely cut off his ties with his past life and is fully committed to helping Aang. But none of that was enough. He needed to tag along with Katara while she quite honestly did most of the work and help her find the man who killed her mother. And he was going to stand by while she was going to kill him. What about this show that Zuko changed? The whole episode almost feels like a step back for Zuko, trying to help Katara get revenge and even mocking Aang's ideology on forgiveness, the very thing he's trying to get from Katara. If they were going to do an episode like this, Zuko should have at least stopped. He should have at least stepped in when he saw the old man wasn't a threat anymore and didn't need to die. Katara needed to learn a lesson herself, sure, but Zuko does nothing to help her get to that point. And now on to the meaty portions. The things that hold Avatar back from being a masterpiece more than anything else for me. And to start off, we have Iroh. The more times I rewatch Avatar The Last Airbender, the less I like General Iroh. Iroh is Zuko's uncle and Fire Lord Ozai's older brother. He was originally next in line for the throne, but after he lost his son Lu Ten in the siege of Ba Sing Se, that he was in command of, by the way, he gave up his claim, along with their father Azulon mysteriously passing away in his sleep. He follows Zuko as he searches for the Avatar since his banishment 2 years ago. He sees Zuko as a son and notices Zuko's love and affection and willingness to put himself in danger to prove his loyalty to his father is similar to his own relationship with his son Lu Ten, and doesn't want to lose his nephew too, so he tags along while training him and offering his counsel. Iroh starts off the series as a more morally gray character. He loves Zuko and wants what's best for him, but is still very much a Fire Nation general, albeit with a bit more honor than some of the others. He has a bit of a goofy side, but never steers too far into incompetent. He has no problem shooting at, attacking, or kidnapping Aang and his friends. Now this is the general Iroh that I like. The Iroh in the other two seasons transformed into more of a wise old sage who nearly everyone in universe and in real life glazes to high heaven. Along with leaning too far into incompetent at times, mainly in season 2, but still being praised as wise, his character shift doesn't feel earned. It even contradicts how he was established before. Iroh never really feels remorseful for laying siege to Ba Sing Se and leading armies in the Fire Nation to oppress other nations. Every time it's brought up, it's always brushed aside as a joke. The thing that changed Iroh was losing his son and not wanting to lose Zuko too. That's why his character worked in season 1. It's hard to take Iroh's shift to good serious when he still can't claim responsibility for his past actions. The most you get is him acknowledging his defeat and wanting to move on. Looking at Iroh's character in season 1 and comparing it to season 2 and 3, you can tell he didn't have it planned out. Iroh in season 1 was ready to join Admiral Zhao's fleet and lay siege to the Northern Water Tribe. He still believed in the balance of the spirit world and human world, and he turned on Zhao, but he was very much willing to let the Fire Nation conquer the Water Tribe. A far cry from the Iroh later on, who was shown to be a member of the White Lotus, a council of people from all nations working together to keep peace in the world and balance. If Iroh was a member of the White Lotus, why would he not send warning of an attack on the North? He earned the title the Dragon of the West after supposedly killing the last dragons. This was back when he was still a general in the Fire Nation army, by the way. Why was he deemed worthy by the original firebending masters and taught the secret of firebending well before he turned good or lost his son? It's just glazing for the character, since after season 1 ended they realized Iroh was possibly the best character they had and wanted to turn him good but didn't know how to properly change his character. Especially compared to Zuko, who had to scratch and claw his way through his redemption, it comes off as forced and poorly written. The reason why Iroh is worse is because he's an entire character filled with inconsistencies and poor writing compared to a single scene of bad writing like I mentioned earlier.
More ferocious.
And finally, we have the ending. Now the series finale has been talked about to death at this point, but it has to be brought up. More often than not, the ending can make or break a show. It can be the difference between a show being pretty good and it being a masterpiece. And unfortunately, the ending to Avatar is not great. It's carried by hype, moments, and aura, but when you really sit down and think about what you're watching, so much of it makes no sense. Zuko finding out Ozai and Azula's plan to scorch the Earth Kingdom and deciding not to tell anyone, regardless of if he thought Aang would fight the Fire Lord before the comet or not. Aang getting the Avatar state back because a jagged rock hit him in the exact right area and angle. Katara running onto the battle arena in the middle of the Agni Kai and getting involved while Zuko was clearly winning. And of course, Aang getting energy bending at the last minute and beating Ozai with it. All these points have already been talked about to death, but again, it's another situation where all those bad writing moments hitting back to back, and especially at the climax of the series, makes them stand out far worse. This isn't one of those endings that ruins the show or anything, but for all that build up to the final showdown between Aang and the Fire Lord, and they so very clearly still didn't have any idea what they wanted to do with, it really hurts my opinion on the show greatly. If all my other problems didn't exist, I think even then this ending would still be enough to hold Avatar back from being one of my top favorite cartoons. It's a little sad to say, but it's important to be able to criticize things you like. Avatar is still a pretty good cartoon and deserves respect, but I can't ignore the problems I have with it just because I grew up with it and loved it for so long. It's really hard for some people to acknowledge that things they like aren't perfect. And believe me, no show is perfect. But especially in the modern age with zero nuance, where everything has to be either peak, mid, or trash. We all need to find the balance or we'd be just as stuck and stagnant as that boy in the iceberg. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing so I can know this kind of content interests you and work hard to keep making them. Right now I'm working off nothing but an Android with 5 GB of data, mobile data, and a notepad, so this video is going to be a behemoth to script, record, edit, and upload. So if you like this video, please show support however you can, even if it's just a quick thumbs up or a comment saying you liked it. Stuff like that gives me the motivation to keep trying as hard as I can to put out as good quality videos as I can with my limited knowledge of editing software. But with all that being said, I'm Rick Will, and I thank you all for watching. Bye bye. Also, quick shout out to CapCut. Without them, this video wouldn't have been possible.